January 2013. Daniel Sawyer is sitting on a rock at the edge of a cliff, scanning his eyes around the distant houses and other scenery before him of the large city of Dale, California. He is 33 years old, 6'2", white male, thin, though pained from alcohol abuse, dark blue eyes, long eyelashes. His long legs dangle below him. His shaggy blonde hair is tucked behind his ears. Many tattoos cover his body, and he appears to be depressed and slightly intoxicated. He has a tattoo of angel wings on the left side of his neck that are outlined black and colored in silver. The city in the distance is impressively large and goes on for miles. Tall buildings in the distance are the most overwhelming feature of the scenery. It's slightly windy, and his hair blows gently behind him. He looks down at a light blue amazonite stone on his wrist that is worn and chipped. It's connected to a black band. I grew up in a generation that was believed to have no promise. Still, even years later, we're ridiculed by the public and squeezed together with the following, leaving us bitter. 20 years is far too long of a time span to merge together. While we were hiding our hands in the fear kiss of war, the following can't be bothered long enough to hear of our stories. Alas, this is a story of the smallest generation, and the last to understand freedom. Why? The letter that had been written over and over in notebooks and disregarded, we were no longer the most capable to sign a lifelong contract. He blows cigarette smoke out of his mouth and crinkles his nose. The scenery before him is busy. We were the generation that was force-fed to believe we gave up too easy and only wanted to have fun, instead of taking a chance of excelling. This wasn't my belief, as I'd been brought up dedicated with a thought that I could be successful in anything I tried. Eventually, I became another statistic, allowing myself to succumb to the pressures of society. We all seemed to grow up faster than we allowed ourselves to acknowledge. All those warnings and bad decisions led me down a path of destructive behavior. It's those days that beat me down and scarred the man that's still too proud to admit that it's the core of my problems. A man that's far too comfortable with the idea of hanging on to a childhood that never had a chance to blossom. Cannonball! Did you guys see the new edition of Scared Eye? It's so fucking rad. Look at that jump.
Do you think you could do it?
I have no fucking idea, but I'm gonna figure it out. People are changing.
What do you mean by changing?
Daniel, stop running through the house.
The 90s, the era of my youth. These days are long gone, and as I look down at my tatted arms, they still play a giant role in who I am today. They are now fading like those memories. I'm getting older, and I'm not pleased by this. I had confirmation that I'm not the only one who feels this way, so... After 30, time moves quicker, and before you know it, you're writing your memoir sitting atop of a hill that is falling down with age. I lack my ability to now remember what day it is. Funny how you tease your grandparents for the same blunders when you have no idea you'll be doing it sooner than later. Fuck. It sucks to grow older. If only we can hang on to time a little longer and get lost in the peace that our traumatized minds so deeply crave. Sitting on a slab below a tall angel tombstone, she with long wings that hug her as she places her hands together to pray. Daniel wipes his falling tears with his sleeve. Mrs. Hopkins, where did we go wrong? Crows fly away from the trees and disappear into the sky. He looks over his shoulder at her handcrafted face with the most sincere hope in his eyes. It's amazing how two simple encounters could change the paths of others. These kinds of encounters aren't the kind that you stop and think of before it happens. It happens by chance and consequence. Maybe even the touch of a good luck charm that you never knew you had. Angels that watch over you from afar, appearing only when you stop looking for them. That is what a true encounter means, and that is how life is laid out on the table for you. That is how a path is paved. Those angels and demons that scold and sanctify who you will become. It's up to you to make the right or wrong decision of which road you will choose. It's unfortunate that we silly humans usually pick the dirtiest and most complicated path, only to stumble many times before we can understand that we had been wrong all along. He smiles up at the angel tombstone and gets up with encouragement that he received from her presence. My abuelo, he took care of these orange trees up until the day he died. You're full of shit. No, really. Whenever I come here, I can't help but wonder how many times I've walked in his footsteps. Walking through the center of many orange trees that are lined in rows and are dormant for the winter, Daniel's head is bowed. He enjoying the way the dry leaves under his sneakers pop and crunch. Laughter, fulfillment, expression. Quiet days that turned into loud, grateful nights. It felt good to be alive in these times, even if it was a struggle to keep my heartbeat racing. I wouldn't change them for the world. There are situations and circumstances where I would change the past for others, but if that would realistically happen, we all wouldn't be the people we are today. Heroes, triumphant soldiers, fallen angels, and misunderstood demons. Even if that idea is hard for me to grasp and hang on to, I know it, and that hope is what keeps me breathing. He stops at the edge of the tree line and frowns, placing his hands on the gate. Passing cars, buses, and busy setting lie before him.
You're Carol's son?
Yes, ma'am. I'm Daniel Sawyer.
No, I have no father.
Is that how you really feel?
I've never needed you. I'm not gonna do well in prison.
You have all of us, Dee. We're not gonna let anything happen to you.
Congratulations, it's a girl. I'm a father. Where are you?
Right here. Wake up. The room is painted in brown and red tones. The bed is large. A dresser sits against the wall, and there's a bathroom door inside that leads to the master bathroom. Daniel wakes in a panic. He takes a moment to calm himself as he's been woken up by a nightmare, but also a small toddler is crying in the next room. He decides to get out of bed. A pink and white nursery decorated for a small toddler girl. It's charming, with unicorn stuffed animals, and the carpet is light pink. He turns on the light in the nursery and frowns at his daughter as she reaches her hand out for him to pick her up out of her white toddler bed.
What's wrong, baby girl?
He holds the toddler girl to his chest. She's still upset and crying. He bounces her up and down and kisses the top of her head. Riley, 14 months old, she with pale skin, short, dark, wavy brown hair, and large, dark blue eyes, a beautiful little girl. Still holding her close to his chest, he begins to cry, overwhelmed. After a long night of trying to get his daughter back to sleep, he finally returns to his room and sits down at the edge of the bed. He catches his attention on his reflection in the mirror across the room, quickly looks away. He closes his eyes tightly and lies down on his back to stare up at the ceiling. Above him is a ceiling fan spinning in circles wildly.
If only I could go back and change the outcome, change everything for everyone.
Don't forget me, Daddy. He begins to cry hysterically, wrapping his arms around himself. He rolls himself around in the bed and finds himself lying on his stomach, noticing his reflection again. He stares at himself in the mirror without moving from the bed, getting lost in his thoughts. Tears continue to flow down his cheeks.
I'm Jeremy Espinoza. The little guy there is Luca, and the twins are Arlen and Dante. That's why it's crucial that you and I find a common balance if we're going to balance ourselves on wooden decks together. Bound to joining. Forever the love. Forever the love. Wings the surrender. Wings the surrender. Choice the promise. Choice the promise. Savior the sacrifice. Savior the sacrifice.
Danny! Time has passed without Daniel realizing it. He flinches, his body startled, when the light switch in his bedroom turns on and Lucy is holding Riley, who has stopped crying. Lucy is 28 years old. She with long jet black hair that she likes to put on the top of her head in a bun. Eyes are haunting crystal blue. She's 5'9" with porcelain skin. She's Riley's caretaker. He sits up in a cold sweat and looks at her surprised and confused on how he had drifted often into his thoughts for so long without realizing it. Wow, must have been some night, huh? Daniel is confused. Lucy bounces Riley on her hip and stays quiet. He stands and puts out his arms to take his daughter without speaking. Lucy hands her over and looks him up and down, worried. Go take a shower. I'm here all day. She looks down at her watch and then back at him, still worried over his odd behavior.
I'm good.
She again looks at him, concerned for his well-being, raising an eyebrow, not convinced.
I'm good, Luce.
He smiles at her and leaves the room with Riley in his arms. Lucy, still in the room, looks down at the side of the bed, noticing several empty alcohol bottles on the floor. She groans and gets down to pick them up and take them out of the room. Rushing quickly through the grass, Daniel meets the angel tombstone again, sitting down at the base. The moonlight shines down on him, and he lights a cigarette, taking a deep inhale. He closes his eyes and allows the wind to settle him into the silence as he exhales. Looking down at the old tattoo on his right wrist that reads Savior, he smiles. He removes a small bottle of hard alcohol from his jacket pocket and takes a large gulp. He continues to drink from it until it's empty. He closes it back up and chucks the bottle into the darkness. He looks down at a very worn old piece of graffiti written in black permanent marker from years before on the concrete slab of the tombstone that reads, "Only for Dante," that is hardly legible. Closing his eyes tightly, he again begins to cry.
What have I done?
Oh, come on, you cannot be that dense. Oh my god, it's been there this whole time. I feel like the stupidest person in the world. You said it. It's about time you finally accepted it.
You broke my arm!
Good. Push through it.
No, it wasn't supposed to be you!
Come to me, Daniel.
I never needed you!
You saved your brothers with this rock on my wrist. Wake up. Wake up and take it from me.
Promise me. Promise me you'll call me from now on. I promise, Mom.
I love you, Danny.
My girl, I hope you can forgive me for all that I've done. I never meant to hurt anyone. I never meant to live a life of deception. I always wanted to be a good person. Just like your grandmother. You resemble her in so many ways I can't even begin to describe. Just like your mother as well. What I would give to make life worth living for all of us again.
He opens his eyes to realize that it's now morning and he has been in the cemetery all night. He's content with this. He stands and looks up at the angel. He taps her nose and moves away. Stumbling down the cracked sidewalk, Daniel smirks as he moves. He places a cigarette on his lip and struggles to light it. He takes a long inhale and eyes the busy street. He quickly frowns when he notices a homeless family approaching him. They worn by the effects of living on the street. The man is pushing a shopping cart with many items inside, and the woman is holding on to her young toddler boy. Daniel stops before them and puts up his hand to stop them from walking. Daniel reaches into his back pocket and stumbles as he removes several $20 bills. He hands it out to the homeless gentleman, and the homeless gentleman looks down at it, surprised. Daniel continues to hold it out, and the gentleman cautiously takes it. He and his wife are both grateful for Daniel's kindness. It's easier to ignore than it is to stop and take a moment to be selfless. What if the world stopped caring about the act and instead cared more about what possibly could happen without taking a chance? An ignored, denied voice speaks louder than a cowardice proud shout. It only takes minutes to be considerate, seconds to make an impression, an eternity to feel regretful.
God bless you, sir.
Daniel nods and puts the wallet back into his back pocket. He continues down the sidewalk, wiping his sweaty forehead as he's still intoxicated. He stops himself and leans himself against a light post, closing his eyes and holding his cigarette on his lip. He falls onto his bottom, losing the cigarette, and rests his hands on his knees to compose himself. He opens his eyes quickly when a police siren chimes, and the police vehicle stops at his side.
Of fucking course.
He begins to struggle to stand, and then becomes caught off guard when the officer runs around the vehicle to help him. The officer is fit. It appears to be a rookie.
Hello there. Do you need assistance, sir?
Daniel rolls his eyes and picks up his hat, pushing his hair back behind his ears, and then places a hat back on to sit correctly backwards on his head. He ignores the officer and begins to limp away the opposite direction. The officer notices that Daniel's eyes are red and smells of hard alcohol. He puts out his hand to stop him from walking, causing Daniel to step back nerved.
Sir, have you been drinking?
Eat my nuts. He swings his arm away as Officer Bailey again tries to stop him by putting his hand on his shoulder. He looks over his shoulder at him wildly and crinkles his nose offended.
Do not ever put your fucking hands on me. You hear me?
Sir, I'm going to need you to come step to the side with me and hand over your identification. Angered, Daniel moves closely to Officer Bailey, towering over him.
What did you not understand, motherfucker? Fuck off!
In a surprising gasp, he widens his eyes when Officer Bailey tases him. He lands on his back and stays completely still in disbelief. His body is frozen and the clouds are moving quickly overhead. He takes a deep breath to try and calm himself as he is rolled over and Officer Bailey begins to cuff him. Finally catching his breath, Daniel becomes angry once again.
Really? You fucking tased me? I didn't even hit you or come at you or anything, motherfucker! You corrupt fucking pig!
Officer Bailey ignores him completely, speaking into the police radio hooked onto his shoulder. He uses the weight of his body, pushing down on Daniel to try and keep him still.
You bastards killed my fucking friends! You killed my fucking friends and I'm going to jail! Fuck you!
With his intense anger, he begins to fight the officer again. He kicks him in the stomach and Officer Bailey falls onto his back. Daniel jumps up, laughing hysterically and dementedly as he struggles running towards West Side, with the taser dragging behind him on the concrete. Officer Bailey gets back onto his feet and begins to panic as he speaks into the radio on his shoulder. He runs after Daniel, having a hard time keeping up. Daniel passes many others moving on the street, his hands still cuffed behind his back. He moves quickly past the cemetery, even in his drunken stupor. He meets West District, the older part of the city that has mostly older homes, run-down apartment complexes, and stressed small businesses. Across the street sits the large community park. He winds his eyes, surprised, when a car begins to back up out of a parking space in front of him. He's slamming into the back window of the car. He shouts out and is thrown into the street. The car stops and the driver quickly gets out to look down at him, shocked by what they had done. Daniel is greatly hurt from his injuries, and he gently rolls himself back and forth, whimpering and bleeding from his knees, arms, and the side of his face. The person that hit Daniel is Noelle. She is Lucy's younger sister, aged 26. She looks similar to Lucy, with the exception of she being only 5'6". Her hair is short and black, and to the length of her neck. She speaks with an Americanized British accent, and is a tomboy.
Donnie, are you okay?
Daniel just continues to moan and whimper. His vision is blurred, though he could hear the muffled sounds of Noelle crying, the sirens of the police cars in the distance, and others approaching to check on him. Ringing noise takes over the other sounds in the background. Time has passed. The visiting area is bright white with matching floors. Lucy is sitting at a long white table in the visiting area, waiting for Daniel to come into the room. She is holding Riley on her lap. She raises her head when the door opens and many patients enter. She stands and frowns when she notices Daniel enter last. He wraps one arm around his chest and scans his eyes around the room to find her in the crowd. He spots her and uncomfortably smiles. Many cuts on his face have healed, but are still lightly noticeable. His hair is damp and combed behind his ears, and he's wearing a black hoodie over his light blue patient clothing that is unzipped. He approaches the two and smiles down at his daughter. Lucy smiles up at him, and she hands Riley over to her father. Daniel kisses Riley on top of her head and takes a seat across from Lucy with his daughter on his lap. "How are you?" "Better. Thanks for coming and bringing munchies." He looks down at his daughter and again smiles at her. "How's Daddy's little snack bag?" Riley looks up at her father with her dark blue eyes and begins to babble in baby talk. "Ha! I missed you so much, Puddin'." Uncomfortable with the atmosphere, Lucy looks around herself, disturbed by the other patients in the room. He notices her uncomfortable body language and grins. "It's really not as bad as you would think." She rolls her eyes and settles herself into her chair, placing her arms on the table to lean forward. "So, what's next for Daniel Sawyer?" "I start over." He continues to look at her with hopeful eyes and is confident with his response while she plays with the rings on her fingers. Again, he frowns and sighs. "Start over? How many times have you started over? And how many times have you found yourself within this predicament within the last few months, Danny? You still have to face jail after this." Daniel is discouraged and offended that she is coming off as hostile. He opens his mouth to become angry, though she raises her hand to stop him from speaking. "You have a child now and are a single father. You can't just keep doing this over and over. It's not fair, not only to she, but to everyone else. 6 months in jail? I'm not her mother. I have a career." She leans in further and quivers her chin. "I know you're hurting, but I'm one of the few you got left. And I'm sorry. I'll do what I can, but I can't just take in a baby for 6 months. She sits back in her seat correctly and crosses her long leg over the other under the table. Don't blow it by pushing me away too. I can't solve your problems. Hurt by what she had said to him, he quickly wipes a small tear that had fallen from his tear duct. He takes a deep breath to concentrate his attention on the many others in the room that are visiting with their loved ones. He smiles to change the subject. I remember one time I came here to see Jeremy, and that's nice. He closes his eyes tightly and holds onto his daughter in his arms, giving everything in him to hold back tears. He opens his eyes again, frustrated. Why don't you want to hear it? Because it's the same stories I've heard 1,000 times, Danny. You're here for help. Take it. There's nothing wrong with reminiscing. There is when it becomes everything to you. When it becomes an obsession. Those days are gone. Those people, they're gone, Danny. You don't think I'm hurting too? They were my family. My flesh and blood. She calms herself and scans her eyes around the room. She glares at him with a thought. Have you written anything since you've been in here? He catches his attention on the nurse's station, not that far away, and doesn't answer. She continues to wait. He looks back at her to sigh. I'm always writing. So do it, Danny. Write out all this bullshit. He shakes his head frustrated, shaking his leg, and kisses the top of his daughter's head again when she looks up at him to babble. I don't understand the problem. It's not like anyone is going to get mad about it or be critical. That's not the point. The point is that I can't do it. He stops himself in mid-sentence and catches his attention on a tattoo on his right hand of silver angel wings that once connected with another. He raises his head to speak again. It's not that I haven't tried or don't want to. A part of me just shuts down and I can't get the words out. It's not that I don't know what to say. I know exactly what to say. I'm just broken. I'm not a writer. Not like they were. She cuts him off again, shaking her finger at him. You are, but you just don't know where to start. It's a passion you never knew you had until the ugliness of life brought it to you. He nods again and again sighs. There's just too much. He looks around himself cautiously and then leans in as well as he can with the little girl in his arms. There's too much. Way too much. Too many people. Too many stories. Too much loss. I don't think I can do it. Every time I've tried, I get nowhere. And believe me, I've been trying for well over 15 years now. Saddened by the gloss in his eyes and apparent heartbreak in his voice, she frowns, disheartened for his truth. She takes a moment to allow him to compose himself as he silently cries. She again scans the room at the others, and then notices an older male patient that is being visited by his young daughter and a woman who appears to be his spouse. She looks back to Daniel with a suggestion. What's the source? Surprised by her question, he's hesitant to answer. He slowly shakes his head. There's too many. We didn't have a normal life. Even better. When is the first time you remember feeling scared or panicked? That's what triggers your PTSD, right? Anxiety? He gently nods his head and doesn't take his eyes off of a small potted plant in the distance by the door of the room. 1994. When Leah first went missing. Surprised by his answer, she lightly gasps. She snaps and nods proudly that he had thought of an answer. If it's too much and too many events, you have to start at the core. You have to start at the beginning, Danny. We all know those memories are there. You're the narrator of your own life's work. It's not like you won't have the time. There's always a beginning when you seek the truth. I said that once and I believed it. She laughs at his response, causing you to frown and sigh in frustration. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to laugh at you. I'm just really proud of you. This is the furthest you've ever gotten with me when it comes to any of this. Thanks, Luz. I mean, for everything. You got it. Now get the heck better and get out of here. I'm really spreading myself thin. I have a life too, and my ass will be perfectly content with taking her while you're gone. She grins at him, making him laugh at her. And I've become a sucker for your stories on paper. I'll be the first one to read them. And I'm totally comfortable with not being the star for a very long time. 1994? Yeesh! He again laughs at her, nods happily to have had the short visit with her. The beginning. Fuck. It's gonna take me ages. I'll still be writing it after I'm out of jail. And from what I heard, you were one sorry sack of shit back then, too. It shouldn't be too hard. He looks at her quickly, frowning as she laughs hysterically at his reaction. A small amount of time has passed, and Daniel finds himself sitting on the rock of the cliff once more, this time with the journal resting on his lap, and he now has a clearer conscience as he is sober. He begins to write in the journal without stopping. I had never been a good writer, one who could put words together that make sense or seem appealing. I have this terrible problem with speaking too quickly before I put any thought into what I should be saying or how I could hurt anyone's feelings. My spelling is terrible, and my grammar is just as worse. I have always been a good listener, though when sensitive words fly out of my mouth, and most of the time, I don't realize it until I've made a fool of myself. The only thing that I have been incredibly brilliant at in my entire life is the ability to be a good loyal friend. That doesn't sound like it takes much effort, but in reality, it's harder than it seems. When you think you trust somebody indefinitely, as careful as you believe you are, people can surprise you, bringing you to your knees by their deception. But finally, I'm slowly awakening. Finally, I've accepted there's always a beginning when you seek the truth. Sitting on a small brick wall that separates the flower bed from the patio, the journal rests on his lap as he continues to write. The backyard is full of beautiful greenery and small palm trees that have been neatly groomed. He catches his attention on the sparkling in-ground swimming pool before him, and he smiles at a memory. The glimmer of the sun casting onto the water creates a rainbow on the wall of the home. So many times have I been blessed in the presence of beauty, dangling crystal, casting a rainbow over my head and into my thoughts. When I open my eyes, I'm displeased to see that it is dissipated into my memories, though when I gently close my eyes, that rainbow is as new as it was the moment I first held it in my grasp. That memory will forever be mine, forever be real. He closes the journal, resting it next to him on the small wall, and gets up. He approaches a pink rose bush and leans in to smell the roses, closing his eyes. He opens them, gently touching a single pink rose. He moves his hand back quickly when he had pricked his finger on a thorn. He places his finger into his mouth and sucks on the cut, annoyed with himself that he had pricked himself. He looks back down at his finger and finds himself staring at it without blinking. What are you trying to tell me? Hey, wait, really, I'm sorry.
Thank you. How lovely. For me? Wherever she is, she's thinking of us. Daniel, get out of there! Do not touch anything.
Daniel gasps and holds his chest, trying to calm himself from the flashes of memories that had just bothered him. He leans down, placing his hands on the small brick wall, trying to calm his breathing. Mom! Rushing quickly towards the gate, Daniel stops and holds onto the white painted metal fence. The apartments inside the gate are depleting with age, though still are well maintained, are the shade of brown and white. He pulls on the gate, finding that it's locked, and steps back, annoyed that he doesn't have access. He gets a running start and jumps onto the side of the metal fence, pulling himself over and jumping down. He happily walks down the small pathway through the apartments and stops to look up at a pool yard that is sitting in between all of the apartments. He grins and continues to walk, stopping at a small playground. He jumps onto the carousel and becomes annoyed when it makes a loud screech as it rotates. He laughs and jumps off, continuing through the complex. He stops before a block of apartments and frowns when he notices the one he had intended on viewing for the first time in years. This apartment had belonged to he and his mother in his youth. Wrapping his arms around himself, insecure, he moves himself in a pivot as the world around him seems to be moving and shaping into another memory. The apartment complex is blue and white and a lot neater and newer. It's early September 1994, and Daniel's younger counterpart, is 14 years old. His blonde hair is to the middle of his neck, and he's wearing baggy skater clothing. He's around 5'10". He's rather thin and lanky, and wears braces. Accompanying him out of the front door of the apartment is Sean, also 14. They're broad-chested, his dark brown hair is shaven. His eyes are deep dark brown, and he's only standing at 5'6". He's outspoken, also wearing skater clothing for the time period, and also carrying along a skateboard out of the front door. The door shuts, and Danny and Sean take off on their skateboards down the pathway. Let's hit up the burger joint. No doubt! Sean is first out of the apartment complex and holds onto his skateboard when he notices a young girl sitting across the street on the curb. Her name is Leah. She's 12, petite, with long, thick brown hair, bright green eyes, pale skin, and rosy cheeks due to the hot summer heat. She's quite shy and soft-spoken. Sean rushes across the street without hesitance and stops before the young girl, causing she to look up at him with wide eyes. Exiting out of the apartment gate, the gate slams shut, and Danny stops in his tracks when he notices the young girl as well, and Sean leaning down at her side, gently speaking with her. Danny doesn't move as he's immediately taken by this beautiful little girl, even at a distance. Sean notices Danny and runs back across the street to greet him. "Hey, you see that girl over there?" Still staring at her without hearing Sean speak, Danny only smiles gently, feeling his stomach fill up with butterflies. He grins with his braces shining in the sunlight, and his cheeks flush when Sean punches him on the arm. "Yeah, you see her. Anyway, her name is Leah. She just moved here. She lives in the same complex as you. I was thinking maybe we could all go swimming." "Leah?" "Yeah, and from the looks of it, she's more than likely probably going to school with us this year too." Danny continues to hold onto his skateboard and finds himself rushing across the street to stand above her. She looks up at him nervously. He stops by her side and leans down next to her to give her a soft smile. She is still overly worried and doesn't speak. "Hi, I'm Danny. Where'd you come from, sexy?" Nervous, socially awkward, and uncomfortable by his question, she gasps and jumps up, taking off across the street and back into the apartment complex. Danny flinches, his body startled by the sound of the gate shutting, and then sighs when Sean slaps him on the shoulder. "Smooth move, asshole." The two laugh at this circumstance and then throw down their skateboards to skate down the hill. Michelle Rice is Leah's mother. She's almost identical to her with the exception of she being in her early 40s. Her eye color is hazel, and she wears a small amount of makeup to complement her gentle features. She is a single mother as Leah's father is no longer the picture. His name is Alexander, and he's away in a Northern California prison due to participating in a drug ring. Sitting on the living room sofa, she wraps her arm around her daughter as Leah is discouraged by her failed attempts of finding friends before school starts. "Just go with it, babe. Be you. I know many wonderful people who love you just fine. It's hard to be a girl. You will figure things out with time, with growth, but mostly time. I know a special little goofy, beautiful girl that I absolutely adore. Give it time, and they will see you just the same." "I try, but whenever I open my mouth, words never come out, or when they do, it's always wrong." It's never wrong. You just need to stop doubting yourself too much. If people don't accept you for the amazing little sweetheart that I know you for, they're not worth your time. I know that's hard to understand now, but it will make sense. You don't need an army of friends to function. Just one or two will be fine, and believe me, you'll find yourself grateful for it. Thanks, Mommy. Anytime, Pumpkin. Exiting out of the apartment gate, Leah looks down the sidewalk, hoping to give it another try. Walking down the sidewalk, Leah is wearing baggy blue jeans, small pink and white sneakers, and a white tank top. She brushes her hair behind her ears as she continues to walk. Many young teenage boys are skating in the parking lot, and many small stores are around them in the mini mall. Some of the stores included are that of a record store, clothing store, electronics store, ice cream parlor, a knick-knack shop, and others. Though, on the corner is a red, white, and blue diner called the Burger Joint that appears to have been there for quite a bit of time, but is still rather well maintained. This is where most of the activity of the young teenagers are. Leah finds herself in the middle of the parking lot and turns herself in a pivot, unsure where she would like to go for lunch. She decides on the Burger Joint. Walking through the sea of boys that all stop skating to whistle and call out to her, she ignores them, entering the restaurant. Putting her hand out to open the door, she is caught off guard by Danny exiting. She widens her eyes, surprised, as he holds the door open for her. "Where are you going so fast, cutie?" She ignores him and rushes inside, embarrassed. He looks over his shoulder and crinkles his nose. "Fine, I don't want to talk to you either." He giggles to himself and rushes away. Sitting down with her lunch, which consists of a cheeseburger, fries, and a root beer, she catches her attention on the jukebox that is playing music from the 1950s. Art showcasing the 1950s is on the wall, as well as vintage records and license plates. Old pictures of the city of Dale from times past catch Leah's attention. The door opens, and Sean enters the restaurant.
Please don't notice me.
She sinks into her booth, stuffing a fry into her mouth. He walks around her booth and immediately sits down in front of her. Hi, Leah. Do you remember me? She nods gently and continues to shovel fries into her mouth, uncomfortable with his scanning eyes over her. Again, I'm Sean Frost, just in case you forgot. Peering from around the side of the booth, Danny notices Sean and Leah and quickly sits down next to Sean. He picks up one of the fries from Leah's tray and dips it into the ranch dressing cup on the tray before sticking it into his mouth. Those aren't mine, dickhead. Sorry. But does it really matter whose they are? Leah, surprising herself, laughs loudly at him as a small amount of ranch dribbles down his chin. She pushes the tray towards Danny and smiles gently.
It's fine. I'm finished. You can have the rest.
Thanks, love. She again laughs and sits back further in her seat, finally feeling a bit relaxed with allowing the moment to run its course on its own. How old are you?
12. I'll be 13 in December.
Cool. She blushes and Danny finishes chewing, wiping his chin with a napkin. He brushes his hair behind his ears and smiles gently at her. So this means you're going to East Junior High this year, right?
Yes. I went to 7th grade orientation last week.
Awesome. That's where we go. We're going to be in 8th grade this year. 7th grade isn't so bad. The teachers are kind of weird, but when aren't teachers weird? Sean told me you live in the same apartment complex as I do, which means I can show you the bus stop on the first day of school. Or, well, you can show me where you live, and I'll walk you to the bus stop.
Oh, maybe.
Forget all that for now. You want to go swimming? I'm staying at Danny's, for the weekend. The pool is right across the way from his apartment. Taken back, Leah is hesitant and no longer feels comfortable with the boy's forwardness to have her involved. She is introverted, and the idea of spending so much time with new people horrifies her. She swallows uncomfortably and quickly replies with an awkward response due to her panic.
Oh, sure, yeah, great. I love swimming. Oh, great. I gotta get in a bathing suit for the boys.
She quickly gets up, panicked.
I'll meet you outside the pool yard.
The two watch her carefully as she rushes away and out of the burger joint to disappear. The two look at each other and Danny stuffs the rest of the fries into his mouth, uncomfortably chewing with his mouth full. I know it's a lot to ask, but is there any possible way you can go for one fucking day without being totally fucking weird? Danny laughs hysterically, leaning his head to the side and moving himself out of the booth, Sean following him. In the current time, Daniel looks down at the swimming pool. It's sparkling under the sunlight and appears to be newly cleaned. He crouches down and places his hands inside the water, feeling the chill of it over his fingers. He eyes the deep end of the pool and smiles as he's taken back to another memory. Danny opens the pool yard fence with his keys. He topless, wearing long swimming shorts, he barefoot, and a towel over his shoulder. He holds the gate open for Leah, she moving inside with a towel over her shoulder. She wearing a long shirt over her pink and white one-piece bathing suit. She's also wearing white sandals. Sean catches the gate and is last inside the pool yard. He's wearing shorts that he borrowed from Danny that seemed to be a tad bit too tight, and he barefoot, shirtless and holding his towel in his hand. He gently closes the gate, not to lock it, and Leah rushes towards a small lounge chair, tossing her towel down. She watches the boys carefully as they both toss down their towels and jump into the pool without testing the water first. Danny emerges his head from the water, horrified by what he had done. Fuck, it's cold! Leah giggles at his reaction and kicks off her sandals. She removes her t-shirt, feeling the boys watching her every move. She gently moves around the pool, meeting the deep end. She places her hands together and dives in. She emerges and swims towards the wall, holding on and rubbing her eyes with her free hand, to be splashed by Sean jumping in again. Danny swims towards her to hang on to the wall. His hair is slicked back, his braces shining in the sunlight. You want to race across the pool?
Sure, but I'm a really good swimmer. I'm gonna kick your butt.
It's on! Standing at the end of the shallow end, Sean puts up his hand, and the two hold onto the wall of the deep end to ready themselves. 3, 2, 1, go! The two at the deep end take off swimming side by side towards the shallow end. Sean grins and laughs loudly as Leah reaches the wall first before Danny. Aw, shucks, I guess I suck. You really do, man. I know you're trying to play it off like you let her win, but I saw that form. You swim like a dog that's missing all of its limbs. Shut up. Leah exits the pool, moving towards the deep end. She again dives in, finding Danny swimming towards her with all of his might. He stops before her and waves at her, she giggling with bubbles moving all around her. They both meet the surface again and hang on to the wall. Hey, let's see who can touch the bottom first. Sure. The two count down and go under the water again and swim towards the bottom of the pool. Catching Leah off guard, Danny moves in and gives her a smooch at the bottom of the pool. Panicked, she swims up as fast as she can, Danny following behind her. She holds onto the wall, watching him come up and hold on to the wall next to her. You freaking jerk! She slaps the water and splashes him wildly, he closing his eyes startled. She slaps him, closing his eyes tightly and immediately holding his cheek horrified. Sitting at the edge of the deep end, Sean watches on confused. What happened? Leah ignores him and gets out of the pool as fast as she can. Sean looks over at Danny, who is embarrassed, he with only his eyes poking out of the water. What the hell did you do? Danny still stays, with most of his body hidden away in the water, deeply embarrassed and annoyed with himself. Leah picks up her belongings, storming out of the gate. Hey, where are you going? The gate slams shut, Danny's body flinching, he's still staying completely still. Sean looks over at him angrily. I swear to God, I can't take you anywhere. Danny laughs hysterically, leaning his head back into the water and swimming backwards, lying onto his back. Slamming her bedroom door shut, she collapses onto her bed, beginning to cry into her arms. The door opens gently, and Michelle holds onto the doorknob, looking at her daughter saddened. Why do boys suck so bad, Mommy? Michelle sighs and enters the room all the way. She gets down on her knees by Leah's bed. What happened, sweetie? A boy kissed me. Michelle licks her lips and thinks for a moment. She smiles and pokes her daughter on the arm. Are you sure he didn't have your permission? Unsure of how to answer, Leah stumbles over her words. Well, no, he didn't. He kissed me at the bottom of the pool, and I wasn't ready for it. Unconvinced, Michelle eyes her daughter's flushed cheeks. She lifts Leah's chin with her finger and smiles at her sweetly. Us girls always have plans for ourselves, don't we? Plans that always seem to be more dreamy and romantic than we could ever hope. And when it's better than that, we don't know how to respond but get angry. I love you, Pumpkin, with all of my heart, but there's no fooling Mommy. I know those flushed cheeks. It's a symbol of bullshit saturating out of your pores. Leah giggles, blushing. My first kiss was at a horse stable, surrounded by manure with the dorkiest boy in my whole school. His retainer fell out right after I pulled away, and it landed down my blouse. Leah, continuing to blush, leans her cheek on her mother's arm, closing eyes to laugh as Michelle giggles. The summer had finished, and now is the first day of 7th grade for Leah. She exits the gate with her white binder in her arms and places her keys into her pocket. She continues down the sidewalk, crossing the crosswalk. Walking slowly, Leah continues down the sidewalk through the many lovely homes of the neighborhood. She stops for a moment when she notices several pink roses planted behind the small white gate of a home to her right side. She leans in to smell one and smiles in compliance. Other school children passing by her and the sound of skateboard wheels passing behind her could be overheard. Each of the boys that pass on their skateboards turn to look over their shoulder at her, though she only continues to sniff the roses. She swallows uncomfortably when one boy stops behind her. Hey, Leah. Leah raises her head, noticing Danny standing before her, he holding a skateboard in his hand. His hair is tucked behind a black ball cap that's sitting on his head backwards. His long, shredded, baggy shorts go to his shins. His shoes and other clothing brand new. His backpack on his back. He looking at her deeply regretful. Leah doesn't speak and only looks away quickly, noticing the other children waiting at the curb for the school bus. I just wanted to say that I was really sorry for what I did. He stops and looks at the roses, and then looks back at her. I wanted to come see you to apologize before now, but I didn't know where you live. Again, she stays quiet and decides to move away from the roses and walk towards the other school children to wait. Danny chases after her and holds out a pink rose that he had just picked for her. Hey, wait, really, I'm sorry. She turns her body to face him and frowns at the rose that he picked for her. She smiles gently and takes the rose into her small hand, looking down at it. All the other school children at the bus stop begin to woo and shout out at the two.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We good? She nods quickly and then moves towards the other school children, placing the rose into the clip of her hair. Morgan Desmond, 12 years old, long blonde hair, bright blue eyes, thin frame, and light skin, moves through the other children, stopping before Leah. She dressed in expensive, trending clothing, and her pink backpack is sitting on her shoulder. She puts her hand out proudly. Hi, I'm Morgan Desmond. You must be new to the area. I just moved back myself. Nice to meet you. Leah gently shakes her hand and catches her attention on the glitter on Morgan's eyelids that sparkle and dazzle under the new day over their shoulders.
Hi, I'm Leah Rice.
Like the food? Leah smiles and nods, tightly holding on her white binder as other school children around them speak as though they had known each other their whole lives. All the children get into a line and begin to file into the bus after the doors are open. Leah sits down further in the front of the bus, only to have her shirt yanked on by Morgan. Only dorks sit up here. Leah gets up and the two sit further back into the bus. All 8th grade students sit in the very rear, including Danny, who sits in the far rear next to the window. Sitting on his knees, he looks out the window, excited to be a part of the older kids at the middle school. Leah looks over her shoulder to see Danny and smiles gently at him while he continues to look out of the window. Morgan notices her and laughs loudly. Oh gosh, the first day of school and someone already has a crush. All the other school children begin to laugh, and Leah leans down in her seat embarrassed. Danny moves his head around, unsure of why the children are laughing, and raises his eyebrows confused. He leans his head to the side as one of the school children to his side whispers to him. He grins widely and looks back out of the window blushing. The bus stops deep into Westdale, and the doors open, and many boys file onto the bus in a row. Those are the troubled boys at Westdale. Leah watches them carefully as the many boys file towards the back of the bus. She looks over her shoulder as a boy gets up and moves over to allow another boy to sit beside Danny. The boy that sits is Mike Sharp, 12 years old. He with a lovely sun-kissed tan and many small freckles on his face. His eyes are hazel and his hair is light brown and in many small braids that move around wildly as his head moves around. He leans into Danny and the two begin to speak to go unheard by Leah. Morgan gets onto her knees and looks over her shoulder at the boys that got onto the bus. Mike raises his head and notices her, crinkling his nose. Oh God, no! You're back! He and the other boys laugh, and Morgan sits back down on her backside as the bus begins to move again, crossing her arms and pouting. The scenery around the school is that of many large newer homes. This would be considered the rich side of town. Some homes have horse property, as well as large gates, and some of the homes are stuck within the cliffs around them. This is the nicest part of Dale. It is one of the only 2 middle schools available to students in Dale County, the other being for troubled youth within West Dale. The middle school is cream-colored and is nicely maintained, catering to 7th and 8th grade students. Hundreds of children attend. The children exit off the bus and file towards the quad of the school. Leah and Morgan stop to look over their class schedules, unsure where they should be going first. Morgan looks over Leah's schedule and then hands it back to her. Awesome, we have PE and homeroom together. Leah gasps when Danny snatches away her schedule. He looks it over and shakes his head. If you're religious, I would highly suggest you start praying now, because you have Mrs. Harper for first period and social studies with her right after that. That's a lot of weird back-to-back. Leah and Morgan exchange glances and grin at each other. Morgan looks him up and down, deeply impressed with his sense of style. You smell so good. Danny overhears her, but doesn't react. Come on, I'll show you where her class is. It's way on the other side of the layout. He's still clutching onto Leah's schedule, she putting out her hand to suggest that he forgot to give it back. He takes off quickly. The girls rush to catch up to him. He turns to walk backwards, continuing, "Sorry if you see me during periods, and I'll kind of just keep going. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just trying to hurry the fuck up and avoid getting busted for dress code." He turns back around and continues through a small patch of grass that leads towards the modular structure classrooms. He darts up a ramp and stops at a door. The two girls stop before him. He hands out Leah's schedule. "Here it is. The troll gave. Get ready to get serious contact high by weird." Leah takes her schedule and laughs louder than meaning to. Morgan rolls her eyes and doesn't find this joke humorous. It wasn't even funny. She opens the classroom door and enters to disappear. Leah calms herself and then tucks her schedule into her binder.
I thought it was funny.
Me too. Otherwise I wouldn't have said it. And you'll see, it's true. She's bonkers. He fixes his backpack over his shoulders better and scans his eyes over her, trying to play off the fact that he had. She opens the door and holds on to the door handle.
Thank you, Danny.
She enters, and before the door closes completely, he leans his head to the side to shout out to her. "You could call me D if you want." The door shuts, and he steps back happily. He jogs down the ramp and begins to make a quick strut towards his own classroom. Walking through the quad, Danny stops himself when he notices the principal and vice principal. He looks down his long, shredded shorts and hides himself around a small wall to wait for a moment. The two turn their bodies, and he makes a break for it towards his classroom, dipping into the open door. Mrs. Harper is thin, stands at 5'10", with a light sun-kissed tan, her hair red in a messy braid that sits over her shoulder with a flower pinned in it, her eyes a deep blue. Her long, flowing beaded skirt complements her white beaded blouse and many gold bracelets. Her beaded sandals show off her red painted toenails that match her fingernails. Her eyeshadow is blue, and her lipstick is bright red to match her nail polish. She appears to be what would be considered as a hippie. Many snow globes line her desk with either fairies or other mythical creatures inside. A picture of a white fluffy cat sits next to a yellow ball of yarn, which appears to be Mrs. Harper's pride and joy. The atmosphere is that of a social studies classroom. The walls are covered in geography artwork and political science. A globe sits on a large red cabinet with many colorful strings hanging down from the ceiling. The small incense burner at the edge of Mrs. Harper's desk burns lightly, filling the room with a scent of jasmine. Mrs. Harper moves towards the front of the room and picks up a piece of chalk from the chalkboard. She quickly writes her name in the corner of the chalkboard. She places down the piece of chalk to stand in front of the classroom. All the children look at her without speaking. "Good morning, students. I'm Mrs. Harper, but you could call me Jane. I'll be your homeroom teacher this year, but also your social studies teacher. I'm sure I'll see you all throughout the day. Some of you right after this period. Let's get acquainted." Morgan and Leah are sitting next to each other at small desks. They exchange glances and then look back at Mrs. Harper. "Look at that flower in her hair. What a total hippie." "Well then, since it's the first day of class, I thought we all take a moment to get to know each other. If anyone has any questions, feel free." Mike, sitting behind Leah and Morgan at his own small desk, hesitantly raises his hand. "Oh, hi there, young man. What's your name?" Mike gently lowers his hand. "Michael, Mike, I just want to know, what's up with the cat on your desk?" The classroom breaks out in laughter, and he grins mischievously. Mrs. Harper picks up the picture of her cat on the desk and looks it over. "Oh, why, thank you for that darling observation, Mike. This here is my baby bunny." Mike again raises his hand with his eyes wide. "Yes, Mike. I'm not sure if anyone has told you before, but I'm pretty sure that's a cat." Again, the school children begin to laugh. Mrs. Harper chuckles, placing down the picture. She slaps her hands together and stops before the children again. Morgan leans into Leah, wide-eyed, and whispers, "Yep, total hippie. She's probably stoned as fuck right now. I bet that's why she lit that incense." This makes Leah laugh loudly, she not meaning to. "Yes! What is your name, dear? And what is your question?" Leah quiets herself, embarrassed.
I'm Leah, and I'm sorry.
I don't really have one.
Mrs. Harper giggles and waves her hand at her. She snaps with a thought and hurries towards her desk. She opens the bottom drawer and removes a large plastic mug that has the words Scream Cup written on the side in purple ink, and the cup is decorated with hearts and flowers. She approaches the front of the room again and holds it up. Now then, class, since we've become acquainted, I wanted to introduce you to one of my favorite ways of quiet expression that I find to be highly beneficial. The entire room becomes completely quiet, and they all stare at the cup without blinking. This here, children, is my Scream Cup. If you're ever feeling sad, mad, or need to let out your frustration, go ahead and pick this up and let it all out, so there'll be no disrupting the classroom. All it takes is one little shout and a little shake, and watch the happiness return. Mike raises his hand again and holds it up high. Yes, Mike.
Can I be the first one to use it?
She giggles and approaches him, holding it out. He eagerly takes it and opens his mouth. Now, no foul language. He quickly closes his mouth and frowns, holding it back out for she to take. Dragging her feet to her next class, Leah watches many sneakers and the shoes of other children moving. She raises her head, but she notices Danny moving through the crowd without speaking and walking quickly. She watches him carefully, hopelessly attracted to him. He disappears into another classroom as she turns her attention back at the many sneakers and backpacks again. Hey, Leah. Though, Leah doesn't hear him and only continues to walk. He looks over his shoulder at her as she gets lost in the crowd. All the 8th graders are in the field having PE. The 7th graders are either inside the lunchroom or sitting outside the picnic tables. Leah is sitting alone at the very edge of a picnic table outside, slowly eating. Other children move around her and sit at the other tables talking and eating with each other. She raises her head, noticing a schoolmate approaching with her tray, and Mike closely behind her with his tray. The young lady is Jennifer Blythe. She's 12, rather short, slim, with hazel eyes, curly light brown, long hair with pieces of colorful thread throughout, small pieces that had been braided. She wears many bracelets on her wrists and necklaces wrapped around her neck. Her heavy eye makeup make her eyes brighter, and her clothing is baggy for her small stature.
Hi, I'm Jen. Can I sit with you?
Sure. Jen and Mike sit down across from her and begin to dig into their meal.
What's your name?
Leah.
Coolness. I'm not trying to seem rude or anything, but girl, you got newbie written all over you. That's not a bad thing or anything. It's just a lot of everyone from Dell has known each other for a long time. A lot of snooty asshole pricks. And I could tell from all the way back at the taco stand that you really needed a friend.
She looks over at Mike and laughs at him. He's scratching a small place between his braids on his scalp.
You don't have to sit here if you don't want to.
Mike grins and picks up his tray, intending on standing. Jen pinches his stomach. He's sitting back down quickly and crinkling his nose at her.
Don't mind Mikey. He's a little turd. Anyway, girl, I just wanted to say that I love your hair. It's totally fucking pretty. And your shoes are the hotness. I was totally scoping them while you were ordering your tacos. You want to sit by her because of her shoes? Sue me. I love fashion.
She and Leah laugh loudly as Mike rolls his eyes.
Are you guys twins? No way, not even close. I'm from East, and Mike here, I'm a trouble boy.
Leah looks back and forth between the two, confused.
Someone said that earlier, but I don't understand. What does that mean? I'm fostered. He's from Westdale and lives in the boys' home there for children without parents. But girl, it's only a matter of time before my parents kidnap him and he comes to stay with me for good. He's my best friend. Has been for years now. We built a relation off her eye color and shortness. You both talk really fast, too. Sorry. Oh, I get it now. She wants you to be on Team Shorty with us.
Jen giggles and shrugs.
Maybe, but more than likely, it's just because I'm a people person. If you haven't learned already, us East folk are always up in everyone's business. Never in a mean way or anything. At least not with me. I like to know everyone and make everyone feel comfortable. I like to have a good time. And the shoes are really fucking cute. They scream, I love to have a good time. How do you know she's not from East, Morty?
Jen licks her lips and then takes a large bite of the taco in her hand, not responding.
You're right. I'm not. I live in Northdale, right down the street from the high school. Ha! I told you.
She puts out her hand towards Mike and happily smiles.
Either you get a ride to school, or I didn't see you on the bus earlier. Otherwise, this conversation would have never happened. He sighs and reaches into his back pocket to remove his small wallet. This is cold, Jenny. I'm broke. Don't care. I won. Hand it over. Sitting on the grass, Leah stretches her legs before her. She now wearing her school physical education uniform, which consists of dark blue shorts and a white shirt that has the school's name and mascot on the front, which is that of a bulldog.
Since it's the first day of class, hang out in the field until the period is over.
All the children stand and go their separate ways. Leah rubs her shoulder and smiles when Jen approaches her with two other girls that appear to be rather similar. Summer has light baby blue eyes and long blonde hair that goes to the middle of her back that curls. She's petite and wears a large amount of makeup for her age. The other girl is Bianca, who appears to be Summer's best friend. She's blonde with dark blue eyes. Her hair is only to her shoulders with bangs. She is also thin and only wears a small amount of makeup. Summer appears to be stuck up, or Bianca is perhaps thoughtful. Leah, this is Summer and Bianca. We met in 4th period, but nice to see you again, Leah. Leah gently waves and looks down at her white sneakers, feeling uncomfortable by the way that Summer scans her eyes over her with disapproval. Summer smirks and then approaches Leah, tossing her long blonde hair behind her shoulder. Wow, you have like really long, pretty hair. I totally wish I could have hair like that and not have to worry about tangles. You must really spend a lot of money to keep it that way. Leah flinches, her body startled, when Summer runs her hand through her hair. Morgan appears from behind the girls. Then stop putting so much bullshit in your hair. She wraps her arm around Leah's and smirks at the other girls. Summer rolls her eyes and looks at Bianca, crinkling her nose. Welcome back to Dale, Morgan. Oh yes, welcome back to Dale, Morgan. She looks over at Jen and smirks. Look who's back, Jen. It's Morgan. Thanks so much, Summer, for stating the fucking obvious. Morgan smiles and puts her arms out to embrace Jen. Jen takes her embrace and then steps back. Well, I see you met my girls, Leah. If only you had been in town a couple years back, you'd be able to tell how big Summer's ass has gotten. It must be all that takeout her mother orders. Summer looks at her quickly, crinkling her nose as Bianca and Jen laugh. Two other girls approach, and Jen nods her head for all of them to sit down by the edge of the field, where they can look at the 8th graders at lunch. The other two girls are Veronica, who has short dark hair, her eyes dark brown. She Hispanic. The last girl is Tanya. She rather pale with long red hair, blue eyes, and appears to be rather addicted to placing chapstick on her lips. So, girls, who looks cute this year? You know Jen's answer. Jen crinkles her nose and looks over her shoulder at Mike, he kicking a ball around with the other boys in the field. Ugh, it's not even like that. Oh yeah, sure. Whatever you say. And I didn't show my boobs off to the boys at your birthday party on purpose. They just magically fell out of my tub. Morgan laughs hysterically and slaps her hand on her knee. You did not. She did. Jen shrugs and nods. She scans her eyes towards the boys in the distance that are busy eating lunch outside on the same picnic table where she, Leah, and Mike had been sitting. As you can see, Leah, those boys over there kind of rule the school, so to say. If you ride the bus towards north, you might actually know some of them. Might as well give her the rundown. The boys at the table are as follows. Danny and Sean, Ricky Robertson, who is petite, with pale skin, green eyes, and dark brown hair that is combed perfectly to the side and hair sprayed in place. He dresses rather proper. Ian Whitman, he white, stocky build with dirty blonde hair that shaved blue eyes. His face is rather broken out due to acne, and his braces appear too large for his mouth. His clothing is rather large and baggy. Reggie Bishop is African American with short black hair, dark eyes, and even taller than Danny. He dresses as though he appears to really love sports. Marcus Perch, he half Hispanic, dark brown hair, light brown eyes. He tanned. He dresses similar to Danny and Sean's skate style. Jen, sitting next to Lee on the grass, smirks over at the boys. My best friend Mike, the guy with the big ass pants, is his foster brother Marcus. And so is Ricky, the really skinny boy that seriously needs a tan. They are from the slums. The dumbass with the scary teeth is Ian. He's a rich asshole, but only because he was adopted. He used to live in the slums too, at the foster home. Then Sean is from east, where I'm from. They're jerks, all of them, really. The slums? West Side Dale. You know where the bus stopped and all those sad little pathetic assholes got on the bus? That area. Oh gosh, you're so fucked up. I didn't call it the slums. You did. That's more fucked up than what I said. Again, eyeing the boys in the distance, Jen smirks. The super tall guy is Reggie. He's from North. He's really into sports and will probably grow up to be a professional basketball player. He's currently dating a girl from East that goes to North High, which was all of the talk last year since she convinced her parents to let her go to North High so they'll be closer. She'll probably end up being his trophy wife. The girls laugh loudly, Leah smiling. She pleased to be a part of the conversation. That guy there with the blonde hair that you probably want to run your fingers through is D or Danny, whatever you prefer. He's annoying as shit, but I guess he means well. Very sweet once you get to know him. All the girls always want to go out with him, but can't stand him long enough to make it happen. I would call him their prick leader. He's from where you are now, North. We call it Cheeseville. Why? Because of the cheesy-ass houses and families. I'd rather live in North any day than stupid East. I'd rather have a view of the freeways than horse poop stink. She looks over at Leah and winks at her. Huh, Leah? Sure, I like it so far. It's really pretty there. Sorry, not sorry. I'd rather have $1 million home with a maid to do anything I ask than a view of bumper-to-bumper traffic. You're so lucky. Summer looks down at her fingernails and then blows on them, brushing them off on her shirt. I know. I've been blessed. The girls scream out when a soccer ball nearly hits Veronica. She groans and gets up to get the ball, kicking it away towards Mike and the other boys. Jen and Mike used to have a thing. That's why he keeps running past us and finding a way to get close to us. He wants to suck at her boobies. Sitting at the picnic tables, Danny takes a large bite of his taco and then stops chewing when he notices the girls looking over at he and the others. Sean widens his eyes and jumps up, the other boys looking over their shoulders to see what he had been looking at. Before the girls get a chance to react, all the boys are now standing in front of them, Danny continuing to hold on to his taco. The girls continue to sit on the grass, looking up to them. Hi, Danny. He gently waves with his free hand and takes another bite to finish the taco, and he licks his fingers. Ugh, grody to the max. Brushing his hands down the side of the pants, he smiles uncomfortably. Hey, Jen. I didn't see you at the bus stop this morning. My brother's going to be dropping me off. He nods gently and then looks down at Leah, raising his eyebrows, unsure of who she is. That little cutie right there is Leah. She lives right by me. She's new to Dale. He winks his eyes at the boys and puts up his thumbs. He flinches his body back startled when Sean punches him on his arm. He rubs his arm mortified, and all the girls look towards him angrily. Don't you ever think before you say anything? Don't you see that she's shy and you probably just embarrassed her? He angrily storms away, and all the boys laugh. Continuing to rub his arm, Danny looks down at Leah, embarrassed. Sorry. He sighs and walks back towards the picnic tables with his head hung low. You jerk! He sits back down and is soon surrounded by the other boys again. Just a heads up, D always says the stupidest shit without thinking first. From what Mike told me, he tends to fall on his face a lot too. That might be kind of why he does that. He's knocked himself stupid. The girls laugh and Leah blushes, looking over at Danny at the tables. Deep into the neighborhood where he and others had taken the bus to school years before, Daniel leans himself closely into a large, light pink rosebush, closing his eyes and taking in the aroma of the lovely roses. He opens his eyes and feels at peace by their vision and scent. An elderly woman comes out of her home where the roses are planted and looks him up and down, annoyed that he was far too close to her property for her liking. He steps away from the rosebush and smiles gently at her, waving. She doesn't smile in return and only glares at him angrily with her arms crossed. He frowns and moves away from the bush. I remember a time when stopping to smell the roses was encouraged. I suppose what they truly meant by that statement was to grow your own fucking roses or get me mugged by grouchy and polite bitter people. And to think, people like me are the ones labeled as crazy. He continues down the sidewalk with his hands in his pockets and stops at the curb. He crouches down and inspects a small piece of cement below him and stares at it without blinking. This is where she fell. He stands back up and looks over his shoulder, noticing the old bus stop sign was still in place for the younger generation that would come years later after he. Exiting off the bus, Lee happily begins to walk at Morgan's side. Danny rushes around the girls, walking backwards. He's holding his skateboard in his hand, and his backpack is on his back. What are you guys doing now? Going home. Morgan stops her and moves her arms around animatedly. Well, duh, but then we're gonna go to the burger joint. Leah excitably smiles and eagerly begins to walk again with Morgan at her side. Danny notices Sean coming over her shoulder quickly and stops walking. Morgan looks over her shoulder surprised by Sean and widens her eyes.
Hey, let's head to my apartment to drop off our stuff, and then we can take off to the burger joint.
Before anyone has a chance to react, Sean stops his skateboard behind Leah quickly and wraps his arms around her, causing Leah to tumble off the side of the curb and she to roll her ankle. Her folder goes flying and Danny and Morgan shout out. Danny drops his belongings and he and Morgan drop down to Leah's side and look down at her ankle worried as she holds it.
What the fuck, Sean?
Sean hops up and brushes himself off, instantly regretful.
That was totally mean, you freaking jerk. Sorry, I just thought she wanted a hug. I didn't think she was gonna fall.
Leah holds onto her ankle and begins to quietly cry. Danny gets up and looks down the sidewalk panicked.
Morgan, stay with her. Sean, go the fuck to my apartment with me. I'll be right back with my bike. I'm gonna get her home. Don't let her get up.
Morgan nods and wraps her arms around Leah, looking down at the many papers on the sidewalk that had fallen out of Leah's binder. A short time later, Danny arrives on his BMX bike down the sidewalk in a hurry. He stops by the girls, noticing that Morgan had picked up the papers and placed them back into Leah's binder for her.
Here, put her stuff in my backpack.
He turns himself around, allowing Morgan to put the binder inside of his backpack and closes it, zippering it up. He helps Morgan stand Leah up and slowly moves Leah towards the bike. He lifts the bike and gets on to steady it.
I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to get up on your own. I gotta hold the bike still.
I got her, genius. She holds Leah's hand tightly as Leah makes a small leap onto the handlebars of the bike. She takes a deep breath and watches Danny pedal away with Leah.
Fuck, I'm so sorry for what happened, love. Sean can be a real dick sometimes, but I don't think he meant to hurt you.
It's okay.
No, it's not. Believe me, not only will he have to deal with my wrath, but my mom's when she finds out. It won't end well for him. She's his godmother, and his mom is mine.
The front door of the apartment opens, and Leah comes in with her arm around Danny's shoulder.
Mommy!
Michelle exits out of her bedroom with a blouse she had been sewing in her hand. She noticed the two and gasped to toss it down on the floor.
What on earth happened?
Danny carefully helps Leah sit on the sofa and then opens his backpack, removing her binder. He places it down on the coffee table and looks inside his bag to make sure nothing had fallen out. He zippers it back up.
She had to tumble off the curb.
Michelle carefully removes Leah's shoe and sock, making Leah squirm and her eyes close tightly.
Goodness, it's swelling something awful. Let me get you some ice, and then we'll see how it does before we run to the ER with a possible false alarm.
She stands back up and looks over at Danny. He's standing up all the way.
Thank you for helping her home. He went all the way home and got his bike so he could bring me home on the handlebars.
Michelle nods, grateful for Danny's generosity, and moves into the kitchen to make a bag full of ice.
Are you gonna need help getting to school in the morning?
The kitchen is visible from the small living room, and with the bag in her hand, Michelle responds for her daughter.
We're probably going to go to the ER, just as a precaution, son. I'll be giving her a ride for when she goes back. I'm sure the doctor will have her stay home tomorrow.
She enters the living room again with the bag of ice and the paper towel around it, getting down on her knees by Leah's ankle to place the homemade ice pack on it.
Okay, well, if you need anything, I'll live in the block across the pool, apartment C2. You can just come knocking, and I'll be here in a jiff.
You're Carol's son?
Yes, ma'am. I'm Daniel Sawyer.
Nice to finally meet you, Daniel. I'm Michelle.
The next afternoon, Leah opens her eyes, noticing that she had left the television playing from her bed from the time of being on the sofa. She giggles at the cartoon playing and then looks towards the front door when there's a loud knock on the other side. Michelle exits out of her bedroom, looks out of the peephole. She opens the door, noticing Danny and Sean standing on the other side. Danny clears his throat to speak.
Hi again, Miss Michelle.
He notices Leah on the sofa in the corner of his eye, but doesn't take his eyes off of Michelle. He nudges Sean, who looks at Michelle, deeply worried.
Hi, I'm Sean Frost. I just wanted to come by and tell Leah that I'm sorry for making her fall and, possibly breaking her ankle or,
He looks down at Michelle's bright pink painted toenails and then at her again.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean for anyone to get hurt. It was an accident.
Michelle looks over her shoulder at Leah, who gives him an accepting small smile. She looks back at the two boys before her. Well, accidents do happen. She and I do appreciate the apology. I already spoke with your mother, Janice. I believe that you've already been punished. He swallows uncomfortably and stays completely still. Yes, ma'am. And from my understanding, you'll be also accompanying your mother to Mass for the next month. Yes, ma'am. Good to hear. Now, as you both can see, Leah is enjoying the afternoon. Thankfully, it was just a mild sprain. I'm afraid she's a lot like me. One little bump and our bodies are our worst enemies for about a week. She will survive. I do hope there will be no more unruly behavior again in the future from either of you.
Yes, ma'am. I went to all of her classes and attempted to get her homework for her. I guess she has none since it's her first week.
How thoughtful. Danny grins widely, showing off his mouthful of braces, and eyes Leah again. She smiles at him, blushing, and they wave at each other. The boys finally leave, and Michelle closes the door. She leans her arms on the back of the sofa behind Leah and smiles down at her. Someone has a crush on you. She giggles and smooches her daughter on the top of her head as Leah looks over her shoulder at her mother with her cheeks flushed. Mid-October 1994. The environment is that of an autumn carnival with many carnival rides including a Ferris wheel and carnival games. Food vendors, pumpkins, and decorations line the festival. The fairgrounds are packed for the event. It's 8 p.m. and the sun has already disappeared for the night, casting a haze over the carnival due to the light pollution. To the rear of the fairgrounds are large trees that lead into a forest. This area is simply known as Dale. It is the oldest part of the town and mostly inhabitable. Due to the quick change in seasons that happens rapidly in California from late August into October, most parties are wearing light jackets or hoodies, or what most Californians like to call hoodie weather. This usually includes a light jacket or hoodie that you can easily remove if needed. Leah arrives with Jen, Summer, and Bianca, and Jen's older brother Eric. Eric, he light-skinned, 20, average height, and bulky, wavy dark brown hair that is properly groomed. His eyes are hazel and he looks similar to Jen. He dresses rather preppy and has what most people would consider a type A personality, though it's well known that he can be rather rude and conceited. The girls stop inside the entrance and Eric makes a break for it, going towards a group of males his age. Oh my god, Jen, your brother is so hot. Yeah, well, he's not going to stay with us, and he'll probably not talk to you ever again unless he needs something. Get over it. I have. Leah and Bianca both smile and begin to move through the carnival with the other two girls. Leah notices Eric stopping by a large yellow slide. Where the fuck is Morgan? I want to see this guy she swears she's coming with. The girls stop in a row and drop their jaws when they notice Morgan sitting on top of a picnic table with her arm wrapped around an older boy, and they kissing without appearing to stop. This boy is Levi Crescent. He in the 10th grade and appearing to be unaware that his date for the evening is a lot younger than she told him. He with jet black hair and the softest baby blue eyes, a medium height, athletic, and a sun-kissed tan. Oh my god, she wasn't lying. She's hooking up with Levi Crescent. Something tells me that he has no idea how old she really is. Don't you dare say a word. It's his bad for being stupid. Morgan looks her age. I mean, look at how small her boobs are. How old is he? 16. And probably one of the most popular guys at North High. Before Leah has any more time to react, she is pulled along with Jen towards a large orange and yellow tent where many other school-aged children their age are sitting around, some also standing. Leah places her hands in her deep jean pockets and takes in the conversation around her. Noticing the porta potties in the distance, she decides she needs to use the restroom. I'll be back. I gotta use the restroom. Though most don't hear her, are too involved with the other conversations around her to notice she leave. She continues through the many rows of others and meets the porta potties. Before she gets a chance to enter one, she's caught off guard by a familiar face. Sean notices her and emerges from the side of a tent. Hi, Leah. She gently waves and he stops before her. He holds up his half-smoked cigarette and she looks down at it wide-eyed, then back at him. I came over here to use the restroom. I'll be right back. He agrees and hides himself again as she disappears to use the porta potty. Soon returning, she stops on the side of the tent where he's now smoking a new cigarette. Do you want a hit? Oh, well, I've never really smoked before. Sure. He continues to hold it up and she sighs, taking it. She takes a small hit and begins to cough. He laughs loudly at her response and then puts the cigarette to his lip, taking a large inhale. Who did you come with?
Jen, Bianca, and Summer.
Let's get you back to them then. He tosses the cigarette to the side and takes her hand, and the two begin to move in and out of the large crowd to find the other children who haven't moved since Leah left. Sean brings her around the front of the tent, noticing Danny sitting on top of a trash can. Danny grins when he notices Leah and jumps down to land in front of Sean and Leah, Sean letting her hand go.
Wow, I'm glad he found you. Everyone was placing bets that you fell in.
Leah smiles up at him with all of her spirit and takes his embrace when he hugs her gently. Standing behind her, Sean looks at the two frowning. Danny lets her go and takes her hand.
Let's go get that funnel cake I promised.
Leah agrees, and the two disappear through the crowd, Sean watching them as far as he could. Sitting next to each other, Leah and Danny pick out a large funnel cake covered in strawberries and powdered sugar. Taking a large bite of the cake, Danny notices Morgan and Levi have now moved underneath the picnic table and are heavily kissing.
Get a room!
He and Leah laugh, and Danny catches his attention on the large glowing Ferris wheel in the distance. He gasps with thought and then stuffs a final piece of cake into his mouth. He jumps up, brushing his hands off on his pants, and stands before her.
Hey, you want to go ride the Ferris wheel?
Terrified by the idea, Leah shoves another piece of funnel cake into her mouth and slowly chews, not wanting to reply.
Ha, it will be alright. You'll be with me, and I got mad tickets that I bought just for you.
Just for me?
Well, for both of us, but I have a bunch. We could go on the other rides after if you want.
She looks over her shoulder at the large Ferris wheel in the distance and takes a deep breath. She looks down at the empty tin where the funnel cake had rested and tosses it to the side. She gets up and nods gently. He takes her hand, and the two rush through the crowd excitedly towards the ride. Danny hands out the tickets, and they sit in the ride together rather closely. The ride begins to go up, and they both grin, unable to help themselves. The ride goes around once and then stops mid-height to give a good view of the carnival. Danny licks his lips and leans his arm out, putting it around Leah. She breathes in deeply and allows him to. The ride goes up a bit further and then stops at the top, showing off the sparkling lights of the carnival below. Danny connects eyes with her and gently smiles at her.
Will you be my girlfriend?
Yes.
Danny smiles with all of his being, showing off his mouth full of braces. He places his fingers on her chin and leans in to kiss her sweetly on the lips. Danny and Leah move through the crowd hand in hand, they both unable to stop smiling. Moving quickly through the crowd, a young man bumps into Danny and continues to walk without stopping.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He turns to say, as the other person continues through the crowd, looking over his shoulder at Danny to turn around and then turn back around. This young man stands at 6'2". He's slim and lanky. His dark clothing covers him completely, only revealing his bloodshot eyes, which are dark blue. His short blonde hair is covered, and his face appears to be slightly broken out of his cheeks with acne due to drug use. Danny crinkles his nose, annoyed that the young man continued without speaking and looked at him displeased that he had been bumped. Though, he still continues to hold tightly on Leah's hand, and the two make it back to the crowd of children. Danny places his arms around Leah from behind and leans his chin on top of her head, grinning widely at all the other kids who are whispering of the two.
What? No way!
She puts up her thumbs towards Leah and slaps her hands together, happy for the two. Danny takes Leah's hands into his and kisses each one, then leans his forehead on hers, incredibly happy. Daniel opens his eyes, directing his attention at the glowing moonlight shining down on him. He places a cigarette on his lip and takes a deep inhale, blowing the smoke up above his head. He watching it float above the trees. So innocent. He continues to watch the smoke blow away, and then closes his eyes again, getting lost in a small breeze that hits him. He opens his eyes, putting the cigarette out under his shoe. He is overjoyed that he had relived those moments for a small time period. He turns on his smartphone and presses a button, recording himself speaking on a recording app.
Day 3 out of rehab, and I've already figured out the beginning to my book.
He hesitates for a moment, and then becomes choked up, though he keeps himself from crying. He speaks into his phone again.
The whole motherfucking truth through the careful eyes of the narrator. Chapter 1. Chance. The joining of Daniel and Leah.
He ends the recording, places his phone back into his pocket. He looks up at the moon and grins, the wind gently blowing his hair around. He takes a deep breath, beginning to walk through the trees.
This is our